with Withlacoochee River Electric Cooperative, member-owned, community-focused, providing safe, affordable, resilient energy since 1947. This is your host, Ashley Wilson, WREC's own multimedia communication specialist. I'd like to welcome y'all to our podcast, WREC Talks. It's electrifying. Hello, members. I am here today to discuss capital credits. This year, Withlacoochee River Electric has announced a record-setting amount of $23.2 million in capital credit refunds, which brings the total to date to $482 million. That's incredible. So what exactly are capital credits? How do you receive them? And what happens to unclaimed credits? Well, to help explain all of this, I am joined today by WREC's very own General Manager, Mr. David Lambert.
Good morning, Ashley.
Morning. So before we start, can you let our listeners know how long you've been with WREC?
Well, almost 30 years. I'm a few months shy of 30 years at the co-op. I started out in the Bennett Point District as a meter reader and was a lineman for approximately 13 years. Then I went and worked in the engineering department and was the manager of member relations, and it covered a broad spectrum at the co-op. Was responsible for the Human Resources Department, the Purchasing Department, Job Training and Safety, Government Relations, Member Relations. There's not very many departments that I haven't worked in or managed at the cooperative. So got a pretty vast background and what goes on here at Withlacoochee.
I was going to say, you got your toes in pretty much everything. I personally say makes you the perfect general manager.
Thank you.
You're welcome. First things first, can you explain exactly what capital credits are?
Yes, capital credits are an allocation of funds, so that represent your ownership in Withlacoochee. We're member-owned, so you, the member, owns the co-op. And at the end of the year, once all of our expenses are paid, anything that's excess is allocated to each member's capital credit account based on their usage with the co-op. So this year, we're returning a record-breaking $23.2 million in capital credits back to our members. You know, that's significant because we have returned more capital credits than any other co-op in the country that I'm aware of, certainly more than any co-op in the state of Florida. And, you know, capital credits are just our commitment to the member to run their business as safely and efficiently as possible. That couldn't be done without our employees. We have a great team here at Withlacoochee, and those folks keep their eye on the ball financially to make sure that we do everything we can to keep our members' rates as low as possible. And I am proud to say that Withlacoochee is one of the lowest prices electric utilities in the state of Florida. And capital credits just goes even further at the end of the year. And when we know that we have made every effort we can to run a safe, reliable utility and return those excess margins to our members. So it's a good feeling for us to be able to do that.
For sure. And I don't think a lot of members realize that we have the lowest rates, like you just said. A lot of them don't realize that. But that's a great explanation of capital credits. I know it gets confusing and people don't understand what it is. So on the capital credits, how do the members receive that money?
They will receive a credit on their December electric bill, and then if you have more than one account at the co-op, you'll receive a check, and that check will go out be mailed between December 18th and December 22nd directly to the address that we have on record for you.
Perfect. So what happens if they're no longer a member, meaning they no longer have WREC as their energy source? How do they get their refund then?
So if you no longer have WREC as your energy provider, we will still mail you a check if you leave us your address that you're moving to. And we'll continue to send that check every year until your capital credit account is paid out, which is usually within 10 to 13 years.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good to know. And obviously members can call our member service representatives to make sure that we have the right address.
Yeah. Updated information is critical for us. Mm-hmm. And so if you're moving and you move, let's just say you leave the co-op and we have your forwarding address there. Okay. And for 2 years, you stay at that, your new home. But then 2 years later, you decide to move again. We need you to call back in and change your address again so we can ensure that you get your capital credits back.
Yep, that's perfect. So does a member's energy usage and amount of time they've been a member have an effect on the amount they receive?
The energy usage affects the amount that you received. It's based on what you use at the co-op. So if the board authorizes a capital credit refund of $23.2 million, that equates to about 4% of what is owed in a capital credit account. We refund that money and put that right on your electric bill.
I know some people get confused on how we determine how much money they get, like how much credit they get. So what are unclaimed capital credits?
So unclaimed capital credits are if a person moves and does not leave a forwarding address, if a person passes away or something like that, and they don't claim their capital credits. So we publish unclaimed capital credits on our website for 2 years. And then at the second year, if they're not claimed, they get put into our education foundation. And that's how we fund our scholarship program. And WREC gives, $110,000-$12,000 college scholarships out each year.
Which is amazing. Support the community, support the kids.
Yeah, so those capital credits, even if you don't claim them, it's invested right back in our community to improve our community.
Agreed. 100% agreed. So is there any last minute thing you'd like to let our members know?
Yes, I'd like to wish our members and their families a happy Thanksgiving and a very Merry Christmas and a safe and prosperous New Year.
Well, thank you, David, for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ashley.
And thank you to our members for listening. We hope you enjoyed learning more about capital credits. With Lacoochee River Electric Cooperative, member-owned, community-focused, providing safe, affordable, resilient energy since 1947.